Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. And I have a very special guest with me. This is the KG XD King of Grass Spartan 54-inch stand-on mower. And this is the GCI Turf MowDown ShowDown. I want to welcome you to the channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Tell all your buddies. We have a very, very unique opportunity to look at 14, it was 13, it's now 14, of the biggest, baddest stand-on mowers made in the USA. I do want you to know this is not a paid promotion or anything like that. None of these mowers are paying me anything. I'm doing this on my own time, on my own dime. I do ask that you be respectful in the comments, okay? I understand that, you know, some folks, you may get a machine and have a bad experience with it. I get it. And the first thing you want to do is just hammer down, right? Please keep in mind that all these machines are made with American hands by American people who go home to American families. I take this extremely serious. Something you might potentially say may affect that in some way down the line. And I know it's a weird way to look at it, but it's my way of looking at it. So I ask that you be respectful in the comments. So this is not going to be the typical review style video. We have a group of categories that we're going to go through one by one, and in each category the machine's going to get a score from 1 to 10. Now before we jump into the categories, I like to do my one word, and what that means is I just got done mowing my fescue bluegrass rye mix, my Kentucky blue back there. Just got done mowing my father-in-law's fescue and the neighbor's fescue, and while the mowing's on my fresh, operating the machine is fresh on my mind, I like to give it one word that kind of overall describes the machine and my general thoughts about it, but put it into one word. Now I can use the same word for different mowers, okay? I don't even dare expect me to try to come up with 13, 14 different words, descriptive words for each individual mower. I ain't quite that smart, so we can share words with other mowers, but one word for the Spartan, but one word keeps coming back to mind over and over again, and that word is beast. Now I know you Spartan boys are jumping them down. Whoo, he called my mower a beast, but hey, don't count your chickens before they hatch, okay? The word beast in this case is a double descriptive word, meaning beast as in what you would typically say is whew, dang, that thing is so tough. It is bad to the bone. It is just tough. But I'm describing it, the word beast, as that, plus in a different way. And you might not like that way. So when we get to that point in the categories, I'll explain a little more in detail. Category number one, bad to the bone. So aesthetics, right off the bat, man, does this thing look good. It has an intimidating stance. I can just see this thing crawling off the trailer and say, all right, who wants some? I'm here, come get it. You know what I mean? The thing looks incredibly cool. The way they cut these, not cut, but the way they molded these gas tanks and kind of have a fender built into them, and it kind of just streamlines the back end, pulls things to the back, the way the back seat's kind of molded and tough, and then you got this big operating deck that kind of hovers over the motor a little bit. It's just everything about it looks like I'm the king of grass. I hate to say that, but you know, I don't know if the thing's the king of grass or not. They're the one that claims it, but it looks like the king of grass. So aesthetics, the way it looks, my opinion, it gets a 10, hands down. No question about it, it gets a 10. So build quality, you know, how the thing is made. Now, one thing that stands out to me, it sticks out right off the bat. You will need to go to their website and confirm this, double check it and confirm it. I'm pretty sure these casters are cast iron. It looks and feels and has the texture of cast iron, and I'm comparing it against the metal here. This also looks like like a different kind of powder coating. I can't put my finger on it. I can't think. I honestly should have probably done more research on this, but it looks like a different style of powder coating to me. Whether it is or not, I have no idea. You do your own homework on that, but that's what it looks like. Where the casters and the meet the front frame arms here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts on each one, and they are the gold, so I think, is that grade 8? Or I think so, maybe grade 5, grade 8. That is a hardened bolt right there for sure. I don't know that I pointed that out on any of the other machines, but I'm sure they use the same style, fittings and nuts and bolts and things like that. The welds on this machine look incredibly clean. Very, very clean welds. They look very solid. Man, when you walk around the thing, you can just see the quality. I mean, I'm just looking at the quality, the way the thing is built, and it is built like an army tank. I think you could literally drop this thing off the side of a cliff, turn it over, and start mowing with it. It's just built that solid. And of course, it's built in America, which is a, just huge deal. And man, looking down through here, all the frame, these main support beams right here for the frame that everything kind of rests on. Just, I can't find any fault in the build quality, and how the thing is put together. I would say, possibly, we'll get to this right here in a little bit, but the start and stop, the control panel right here is electric, so if that falls under build quality, it's a positive. Don't get me wrong, I like this. It's a big positive. But what if you get water down in there, and it shorts all that out, and then none of this works, and you have to replace it? I'm sure they have it waterproofed some way or the other, I would imagine. But that does come to mind. It's built extremely well. I just can't say nothing other than that. It looks to be built very, very well. So build quality, I got to go with a 10. I can't go anything less, because I can't find anything that's wrong with the machine as far as the build quality goes. So we'll go with a 10 on that. All right, so let's talk about the toolbox, and we'll look at ease of maintenance. Let's see here, how does this come off? A couple of screws here. Now, this is one thing I do like, these molded bolt heads. They're nice and big, where you can really get your fingers on them nice, and these little covers just pop off of the pulleys there, which is super convenient. That's easy to get to. Oh, look at here. That's nice. Look at there. This side plate comes off, and this one does as well. There's some tie straps on it with a wire that's tie strapped to it. But these come off and allow you to really get down in here nicely. That's pretty cool. I like that. As far as changing a belt, let's see here. How easy is this going to be? There's a tension pulley. So this has like a dampener on it, like a shock style dampener right here with a spring on it. And that actually goes that way. Let's see if I push on that a little bit. No, actually all right, which way does it? Okay, it goes towards you, so that's not even budging. How in the world would you change this belt? I guarantee you there's a simple way to change the belt on this thing, but I'm not seeing it right off hand. Now, one thing I am seeing is this spring right here. Let me put my finger through here so we can see it. You could actually take a pair of channel locks and bite that and pull it off of this nut, and that's going to relieve a ton of the pressure off of this pulley up here. And I would imagine you could probably get that belt off pretty dang easy. But I'm sitting here trying to push this with my hand, in order to, just get it loosened up just enough where I could take the belt off. You can see it moving. Yeah, that thing's stiff. That's stiff. I think that would be the ticket though. If you pop that spring off right quick, and then we do that a million times over, is pop springs off of things to loosen the tension, and then that belt should pop right off. You could change it and then pop the spring right back on. So I don't see that being overly difficult until you figured that part out, that you could pop the spring off. And one thing I do want you to keep in mind when we're talking about ease of maintenance here is I don't hire mechanics, meaning all my guys aren't mechanics. Basic maintenance is what we do. Change blades, which all of them are going to be the same way. Jack the front of the mower up, take the blades off, sharpen them, balance them, clean them, put them back on. We change belts. Sometimes we change our own hydraulic fluid and filters. And oil, we definitely change our own oil. So let's look at that next. This is fairly open right here to where you can get to the oil filter pretty easily. The gas tank is a little bit in the way, not bad, not to where it makes it impossible to get to it. I think you could get a short oil wrench in here to pop that thing off. Here's the oil drain tube. Okay, this is attached to the block right there, or goes into the oil drain tube. Most of them go into the bottom of the block if they have a tube, a drain tube on it. Some of them just only have a fitting on there. But I'm going to pop this tie strap off. There's a tie strap on there. Well, it's not anymore. And I'm going to grab this oil drain tube. I'm going to see where we can make it go. Okay, you could actually, now I'm not going to untie strap all these wires because I don't have any tie straps here to put it back like I found it. But this drain tube is long enough to where if you removed this plate, it would be totally completely out of the way. You could easily get a drain pan, a short, not a very tall drain pan under here, under the deck, set it right here on the deck easily, and pop the plug on that thing and drain it, and probably not get one drop of oil on the machine. That's what I'm seeing here. And again, there's a wire running up under here, a wire loom with wires in it, probably going to that light on the front. And I don't have any straps. I don't have any tie straps to put that back. So I'm not gonna undo that. But you can clip those little tie straps, remove this plate, and you can change the oil pretty dang easy on this. Like I said, the oil filter is somewhat easy to get to, minus the gas tank. But other than that, oil change didn't look to be too hard. All right, let's come back here to the back of the machine, twist these little nuts, and this whole backrest, or well, in my case, it'd be a belly rest, wouldn't it? I don't think you call it a backrest. That whole cushion comes off, and you've got two of the same style molded nuts right there. That plate just pops off, and let's see here, Parker, looks like Parker drives in there. I'm looking for a filter. Where is a filter? A hydraulic filter. Come to Papa. Where are you at? All right, so I see the feel. Well, I see what I'm calling a hydraulic feel. Let me get the camera down here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You can see that little black cap right there on top of the pump. I'm guessing that's where you fill it. Or check the hydraulic fluid. You can see there's one in between the two black wires in the camera, in the side of view. You can see it kind of in the background back there. Pretty sure that's where you would change the hydraulic fluid. I'm not seeing filters. Just not seeing filters on these anywhere. Let me go look from the front side. Okay, so when I say filter, imagine a Fram oil filter. A lot of these machines will have an actual hydraulic filter like that, and I'm not seeing one. So my guess is the filters have to be internal somehow or another, inside the pump or something, or some kind of a something hanging off the bottom of the pump there, and that could be the filter, some kind of a funky filter, but it's not like a traditional style filter that I'm accustomed to seeing. So to put extra fluid in it, matter of fact, let's stick our hand down in here and let's see if we can get that cap off. Oh my gosh, that is so tight. So typically you would see like a reservoir or something mounted on the inside of this plate or somewhere in here. I'm just not seeing any of that anywhere. So we, as far as the level of mechanical skill we have, with myself included and my guys at the shop, there's no way we could do anything with this hydraulic system. We would have to take it back to the dealer and let those guys handle that, because this is above my pay grade, to be honest with you. Fuses, I see these right here, which are super easy to get to, and you can see the air filter pretty much front and center like the rest of the machines that we've looked at, and probably the rest of them we will look at. It's super easy to get to. Overall ease of maintenance, again, I'll make this clear. You may be able to look at that and say, oh, you do that, and this, and it's a done deal, simple. I'm not the average dummy. I'm a little bit above average in the dummy category. Been doing this 20 years, so I've seen a lot of different hydraulics, run a lot of different equipment, not just mowers, all types of equipment. And so I've kind of learned how to do basic maintenance on a lot of different things. And when I run across one like this, I'm like, what do you do? It is what it is. If I don't know what to do, I just don't know what to do with it. And I just don't think those hydros would be serviceable right off the bat. Now, if I have to remember the view, I'm looking at this as a one-off. Okay, that's the take on this, one-off. I'm not studying any of it. I don't go on their websites and look up things and details and all that. I want the mower sitting here, one take, one shot at it, and give you one opinion. And those hydraulics, I have no idea where to go with that. The oil, pretty easy. Belt, I think, would be pretty easy. And who's to say the hydraulics would probably be pretty easy to service if I went to the dealer and said, hey, show me how to service the hydraulics, and they showed me, then it would be pretty easy. But I haven't had that luxury. So ease of maintenance, I'm gonna give it an 8. All right, so let's go to the ingenuity category, the design, layout, controls, layout of the controls, ergonomics, functionality, how easy all the controls are to use. We'll look at the height of cut adjustment, ease, fuel tanks. So let's talk about the controls first. And if you've been watching any of these videos, you know how I feel about controls. I like to enter the cockpit, and I like for things to fit my hands well, the ergonomics. Now, one cool thing about this front handlebar, well, you can see this one has the rigid bar rear, rigid bar front. So you push the forward, push the controls forward to go forward, pull them to go backwards, right turn, left turn. Whereas there are a few mowers where they have a rigid bar in the middle and the controls are on the outside, and you push the control to the rigid bar, or you pull the controls to the rigid bar in the middle. What do we want to call this? Drive bar, or whatever, call it what you want. As far as the layout goes, I like to be able to enter the cockpit, and I don't want to move anything. I don't want to have to bend way down here. I don't don't want to have to dig through here to find a key or a PTO or anything like that. I like to be able to one-hand it and easily grab what I want to grab. So here's the parking brake, pretty easy. Throttle, pretty easy. This doesn't have a key. This is very unique on the controls, and I think it's really cool too. It has a control pad right here that has a digital code, 1, 2, 3, 4 button, and you can program your own code into it. Okay, this one's programmed, well, I can't tell you that. Then you would know what the things can program that. But you would have a code, and best I can remember, I think they said you had a 4-digit code up to a 10-digit code. If that's incorrect, somebody can comment below and tell me if that's incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. And it's a cool control pad because it does away with a key. You enter the code and then you hold down the start button. Let's look at this closer. Let me show you. I really think this is worth a close look just because it's that stinking cool. So I would punch in a code. I'm gonna hide my hand. I'm gonna put my hand here to cover up the code so you don't know it. Whoops, that's the wrong code. Okay, I didn't have my parking brake up, and this light right here told me that, so I couldn't start it without the parking brake up. So I've got my code punched in, and you basically thumb it. That cuts it on. And you press it again to cut it off. That's pretty dang cool, if you ask me. So if I'm standing on the machine ready to operate it, like I said, I've got easy access to the parking brake, easy access to the throttle, easy access to the start stop, and I've got very easy access to the PTO. I mean, I don't know what more you would want. Everything is just kind of right here in front of you, easy to get. I don't have to fiddle around down through here and go under to cut things on. The height of cut adjustment is really unique. I don't even have a handle up here to pull where the majority of these machines do. I'm basically going to take my foot, put on this bar, and push down. It's that easy. And look, watch the deck go back down on its own. And then your height of cut adjustment is right here where you can get to it pretty dang easy. I mean, if I'm using the machine and I'm mowing along and I have to stop and change my height of cut for whatever reason under the sun, I'm just going to push that down, move the pin, and the deck floats right back down to where it needs to be. And this, I can feel it. That's magnetic. I don't know where the magnet, yep, the magnetic portion is in the end of the stop probe right here. It's in that point. Oh, that's magnetic. So that way when you're going across the yard, there's really no chance on it coming out, bouncing out or whatever. One thing I do want to point out is there's an adjustment over here on the side, okay, with this pin right here. This is a locking pin. There are 2 holes cut in this side plate right here, and listen. Hear that click in, and that locks that in. Now that's high gear. You could use that for transporting or you know, going from point A to point B. And when I mow, that's actually the speed in which I mowed my neighbor's yard and my father-in-law's yard is as fast as the thing would mow if I could stay on it. And then where I mowed my yard with and my bluegrass, because we were kind of looking more of quality of cut and striping and that kind of thing, is I backed it down to the, I guess they would call it mowing speed. On this back bar, there's also adjustment on that, but it looks like 2 9/16 hex bolts, hex nuts right there that you would loosen up, adjust the back bar forward or backwards, and then lock them back down. Ergonomics, the thing fits my hands really well. Really well. You know, when I grasp it, I like to be able to have a firm grip on the front bars, and the palms of my hand typically ride on the control levers here, and that just fits my hands really good. Now when I go up to transport speed, that's probably, I'm gonna say, about an inch difference maybe. Now when I do that, then I really have to stretch my hands out to get a good bite on it. But once you get moving, like with any of them, and your control levers get closer to the fixed bar, then you know your hands automatically tighten up, close up. But it's the initial grabbing it. It's a little wide when it's in one position, but then when you move it back to the other position, it's dead perfect. Now, my complaint about this mower, and this is going to we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail when we go over the actual hydraulics of the machine, but this mechanism here, this lever action forward and backwards is very stiff, very stiff. I realize that once you use the machine, over time it's going to break in and things will get a little bit smoother. But as far as the comfort aspect of this was tough. I mean, you literally have to muscle this thing forward, and it's a little bit easier back because you have less space. You know, you can get more grip on it to pull it backwards, so it was a little bit easier. But going forward, I mean, when you've got the thing on and it's got the hydraulic pressure built up against the control bars, man, that thing's tough to push. It's a beast, okay? You see what I'm saying? And that's a negative to me. But we'll get more into that when we talk about the hydraulics specifically. But as far as the comfort goes, it does affect the comfort of all this. It was kind of tough, you know, turning around and all that kind of thing and getting that thing started. And of course, once you get it started and get it going, and you're able to get a good grip up here on the front bars, you know, it's like any other machine. They're all the same at that point. But it's that initial takeoff to get it going. This thing's pretty rigid, pretty stiff to get it going. So the overall, the controls, the layout of the controls, I have no complaints about it. I don't think they're perfect, and I can't tell you why it ain't perfect, but I just don't think it's a perfect layout, but it's an incredibly nice layout. It's very easy to get to. 9.5. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 on the layout. The ergonomics on how it fits my hands, I got to give it a 9.5 because it fits my hands very well, and I have adjustability. I'm able to adjust. That's huge. That's a big deal because I got pretty decent sized hands, and some folks have bigger hands than I do, and some people have smaller hands than I do. So when you can adjust this bar to fit the individual user, that's a big deal. So the ergonomics, 9.5. The functionality and ease of use, you know, they're going to come up a little short right here because this thing is tough. Although everything else is pretty dang easy to use. Yeah, I'm a hydraulics guy. Okay, I've made that very clear up front. Everybody knows that. And I'm not a fan of how stiff this thing is to get it going. So ease of use and the way this thing functions, it's going to get an 8 from me. We do want to make note that there's a USB port up here on the dash, and looks like an old school cigarette lighter. So if you have a phone with a charger that doesn't accept USB, you can plug your thing into the little cigarette lighter thing and plug it in right there and keep on getting it. The fuel tanks, absolutely love them. Absolutely love the design of them, where they're at. It's one on each side. I think there is up under the cockpit here, there's a little needle valve that when one tank runs out, you just flip it over to the other one and it starts pulling from the other tank. The thing I like about a tank being on each side is the weight, the even weight distribution. That's my favorite part. So I really like the tanks being where they're at, and they just look really cool. This is some very cool looking gas tanks. Height of cut adjustment, E. How easy is it to adjust the height of cut? I'm gonna give this a 9, and here's why. I love this concept. I mean, I'm hardly putting any pressure whatsoever. Let's see, what's making this easy to adjust? Ah, there's a shock down in there. There's like a dampener shock strut that's hooked to the linkage, and that's what's making it's taking the weight off of it. That's what's making it so easy. Now, earlier in the day, this thing was getting stuck, and I would have to take my foot and pull up on it to make the deck go all the way down to my setting. And I imagine as you use a machine like this and it gets a little bit broke in, that part goes away, okay? You push down, set your height, take your foot off, and it's just going to automatically go back to where it needs to be according to the height adjustment you selected. But I do want to make note that because this is pretty much a brand new machine, it's got 11.8 hours on it now. This is a little bit stiff, and I did have to take my foot and pull up on it several times to make the deck go all the way down. So the height of cut adjustment ease, how easy is that to do? I'm gonna give it a 9. So here's another category everybody likes, battle of the blades, and that's going to be cut quality. That's going to be the height of cut range. How accurate is the height of cut? How well does it side discharge? How well it stripes? So let's crawl up under the deck, go look at that, and then we'll look at the height of cut range, and is it accurate or not. All right, let's climb up under the deck here and look around, and you can tell this mower's got a few hours on it. I think it's got like 8 hours on it, 9 hours maybe, but still pretty much in new condition. Not seeing anything abnormal or different. You know, you're seeing the same standard patterns here where the blades follow. The front of the deck, same way. I am getting a lot of extra space up here in the front of the deck between, I guess you call these the baffles, between the baffle and the front leading edge of the deck. Now, I don't know if that's by design, and that creates, you know, a better quality of cut, better airflow, better yada, yada, yada. I have no clue, but I do notice that to be quite a bit different is this spacing right here. But other than that, I mean, looks pretty typical for what you see under a mower. And again, we're looking for something here that's definitely different, that stands out, that would make it over the top unique, and, you know, just not getting that under the Spartan deck. And of course, you know, they're engineers. I'm sure they take a lot of time and a lot of pride in engineering all this to create maximum, you know, flow to get the grass out from under the deck. But of course, I don't have all those specs in front of me, but, you know, to the untrained human eye, it just looks like a pretty standard mower deck to me. Now, something else we've been doing is checking the actual height of cut. We're going to go down to the 1.5 inch, which is as low as it goes. So we're at 1.5 inches up top, and this looks kind of like 1.25 ish. Ain't quite 1.5 inches. Now we're going to check it on 3 inches. Uh-oh, yeah, that's off a little bit. When you're on the 3 inch mark, it's actually reading 2.5. Now let's go on up and let's check it at 4. And you can see we're off again. It's reading just a touch over 3.5. So seems like this particular machine's off about 1/2 inch. And for kicks and giggles, let's go all the way up to transport and see what's the highest height of cut it'll actually go to. 4.5 inches on the money. So on the height of cut range, you can see it goes from 4.5 inches down to 1.5 inches. Kind of standard, not really standard, but maybe more typical and kind of in line with most of the other mowers. How accurate was the height of cut adjustment? Well, you can see this machine was a 1/2 inch off, okay? I do want to make note that there are adjustments. I can see them on the deck right here where you could fine tune that and adjust that, but I feel like that's the dealer's responsibility or the factory's responsibility. I shouldn't have to do that. And you know, I told every single mower manufacturer, you make sure your machine is on point. Make sure it's spot on before you bring it to me, because I'm going to nitpick this thing, and that's a big deal to me. Okay, the height of cut adjustment, if I'm mowing fescue at 4 inches, I want it to be 4 inches. I don't want to have to put the thing on 4.5 to cut at 4 inches. I just don't want to, okay? I'm paying a buttload of money for this mower. I want the height of cut to be accurate. So the height of cut adjustment, yeah, it is what it is. You're off a 1/2 inch, so I'm gonna give you a 7.5. Cut quality. This thing cuts extremely well. It is a very clean cutting mower. I'm looking out across the yard and I'm seeing what's typical, a blade of grass here and there, a scraggler is what I call it, just kind of sticking up, okay? Typically I look for that in the middle of the cutting pass, not on the edges, and I'm looking in the middle right here, and here's a little scraggler right there. And I mean, I really have to look hard to find them. It's minimal. I'm gonna call it minimal scragglers, okay? So the cut quality on this thing actually surprised me. Not gonna lie to you. I was thinking for a big, bulky, muscular looking mower, I kind of figured it might perform like that, but the cut quality, it was more finesse. I mean, it's tight. The yard is tight. The bluegrass back there is cut really tight. I got it down on 2 inches. Fescue's on 3.5. And cut quality, I got to give it a 9.5 because it's, I don't call it perfect, but it's pretty dang close to perfect. How well does it side discharge? This blew my mind, okay? I've used a lot of mowers in my day, a lot of different mowers, and I pay attention to how the material leaves the deck and it scatters in the yard. Well, why do you do that, Pete? Well, because that kind of makes the difference in whether you double cut or you single cut. Okay, double cutting is going over the yard twice. You know, you have to mow the yard 2 times in one visit. You know, if it gets overgrown, super thick, wet, whatever the conditions may be, sometimes you have to double cut, and we do quite a bit of double cutting in the springtime because the fescue is just growing pretty aggressive. And you know, when you're cutting off so much material, the under the deck only has a split second, because you got to remember you're going forward at the same time. The deck has a split second to process that material and get the material away from the machine, and that happens through the discharge chute by discharging it. And I was shocked, just to be honest. The discharge on this machine, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this, and I think I can be honest and truthful in saying it. The discharge on this machine is totally different than anything I've ever operated, and I don't know. I can't come up with another way to explain that other than it's totally different. Meaning, the majority of mowers I've used will throw the material out and kind of back a little bit, maybe slight angle to the rear. This machine kind of shoots it up and more at an angle. So if I'm on the mower, most mowers I've used kind of discharge straight out. This machine discharges kind of at an angle to my rear, and it throws it up in the air, which was totally completely different. But what I noticed is the dispersion, the way it feathered the material out. And when I go back and look where I've mowed, I can't see the first grass blade. They're all gone. It chopped them up and spread them out in such a way that, you know, they've either made their way down in the canopy or they're just so fine that I can't visually sit here and look at them. So to say the least, I think that was the most impressive thing about this mower that I've seen so far, is the way it side discharges. Of course, I mowed, all the mowers are being used in the exact same conditions. It's dry. The ground's not wet, the grass blade's not wet, so it's all equal playing ground. But this was just very unique, and I don't know if that's by design. I don't know if that has something to do with that big gap between the front baffle and the front of the deck. I don't know what it is. I'm not an engineer, I can't tell you that. But what I can do is visually see the grass going out, and it's totally different than anything I've ever seen. Hands down, side discharge a 10. I'm giving that a 10 because it's very unique and it's very good. I mean, I can't think of any other word to describe. It's extremely good, the side discharge. So we'll give it a 10 and go with that. So how well does the machine stripe? Well, there they are. They're nice and solid. They're defined. This is virgin grass, meaning it's been like 5 or 6 times since I mowed the grass in this direction, and I have to say it stripes pretty good. I mean, it's a good striping mower. I had to take a double take, but there's no kind of striping kit on it from the factory, no flap or nothing like that. I like the way it stripes. I'm seeing a pattern here. The bluegrass is cut at 2 inches, and the bluegrass is actually striped a little bit harder than the fescue. But I'm seeing a pattern. All the mowers so far have striped the bluegrass at 2 inches a little bit harder than my fescue at 3.5. But man, this falls in line with being a very good striping mower, in my opinion. I'm going to give it a 9.5 on the stripes. All right, so next category is smooth operator, and that's going to be overall comfort and ride quality. I was a little bit surprised at this, to be honest with you. I figured because it was a bigger, it's hard to say the word bigger because footprint wise it's not that much bigger than the other mowers, but it just looks bigger. The design of it makes it look like a, you know, that big muscle car look. And I was a little surprised at how it rode, to be completely honest with you. It actually rode better than I thought it would. I thought it was going to beat me to death, if I'm being straight up. But the ride quality overall was pretty nice. I will say this: it was the nicest ride quality to date out of the first 4 mowers we've looked at. It is by far the best riding mower as far as overall comfort and how I feel once I get off the machine. The complaint I have about the comfort, again, is in these handlebars. These things are tough to push forward. Of course, they're easy right now because there's no hydraulic pressure built up against them because the machine's not running. But I found my hands getting a little bit sore. Okay, so that is a big time negative. That's a huge negative to me because you don't want sore hands throughout the day. So here's another negative on the ride quality. Although this height of cut adjustment right here is really nice and really easy. Let me put it in the 4.5 range and let me get in the cockpit as if I'm operating it. And when I'm operating a machine like this, especially if I'm running at full speed, I like to be in a good athletic stance. Okay, I know that sounds weird. People are not playing baseball, but I do like to be in an athletic stance. So my feet wide, spread wide apart, knees slightly bent. I'm dug in to these two cushions right here, which is very comfortable, by the way. This mower is extremely inviting, for lack of better words, meaning when I enter the cockpit, I feel like I become part of the mower. It kind of sucks me into the mower, into the seat, and I feel like I'm one with the mower. And that's probably some old Chinese voodoo stuff, but that's the way I feel. I feel like it kind of locks me in, and I think these big pads right here are a big part of that. So lots of knee support right here to dig your knees into. But back to the height of cut adjustment is if I'm in the cockpit, when I'm leaning to the left on a heel, this thing right here digs into the back of my leg right here, and it hurt a couple of times because I was on a hill, sloped to the right over at my father-in-law's yard, and when I would hit a bump, I would jar against that, and it hurt. I mean, it really, matter of fact, I had to stop almost and kind of get readjusted and try to figure out another way. I put my foot back behind here to try to keep it out of the way, and then I even put my foot toward the middle a little bit, but none of those was comfortable for me, so I went back to here, and I had a subconscious thought in my mind to try to keep my back of my leg from coming in contact with that, and that hurt. So I didn't like that at all. So remember the drag race we had at the beginning, the little fun video. This is hands down the fastest mower out here. I told you in that video, speed doesn't mean it's the best mower just because it's the fastest. I will say this, in some good flat smooth areas at my father-in-law's, I was able to get up and operate the machine at full speed with the front locking bar all the way up, full speed, as fast as the machine will mow, and the cut quality was no different than if I was putting around. It cut the same, it discharged the same, regardless of how fast I was mowing, which is, some people, that's a big deal. We personally, our company, we don't mow at full speed all the time, so that really doesn't come into play for us, but I do want to make that known. So overall comfort and ride quality, like I said, I was surprised. I think maybe the weight. The machine looks like it weighs a little more than some of the other ones because it's a little bit beefier. That may attribute to the ride quality. I want to make it clear that it's not, Cadillac ride quality status. It's not that. But for a stand-on mower, it does ride pretty dang good. Over here in my neighbor's yard on the left half, that's definitely the roughest part, and I attempted to mow that at full speed, full-blown, hang-on, athletic stance, get in there and get her done, and it was all I could do to hold on to the machine because the machine is so fast, and when you're hitting those bumps going so fast, it's going to jar the machine and throw the front end offline, left and right, and that kind of thing. But taking everything into consideration, ride quality and overall comfort of being in the machine, the comfort, I've got to give it a 9. It's a pretty comfortable machine to be in the cockpit and operating it. The platform back here has really, really good suspension to it. And if I get down here and I look, there are 2, not just 1, but 2 of the rubber bushings on each side, and I can fill a nut, and there's a groove in here. So this platform back here is adjustable, and it's also got a nice thick rubber mat back here to help cushion as well. So all of those things are a big time positive, a big plus in my book. So the overall comfort of the machine, I got to give it a 9. It's a pretty comfortable machine to be in while you're operating it. The ride quality, I'm going to give it a 8.5. Okay, even though I've said a lot of things that say, all right, this thing is a pretty good riding stand-on mower, it's still kind of rough. You got to understand, all of these stand-on mowers ride rough, okay? And that's something I want to challenge the manufacturer with. Please, men and women ride these things all day long in the hot sun. They're on uneven terrain, and they get beat to death a lot of the times during the day. Somebody come up with some type of a suspension system for these machines so that they ride better. You know, I've said that in the previous videos, that it's just ride quality. You know, a lot of times that gets overlooked. You know, this is a rigid frame. It is what it is. There are no shocks back here that I know of, no suspension or anything like that. There's got to be something some smart engineer can come up with to make the ride smoother on these machines. So ride quality, how the thing rides, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. All right, so talking about the overall power of the machine, it does not lack. It has a monster of 37 horsepower, EFI Vanguard on it, and it has absolutely no lack of power whatsoever. That is included in the hydraulics. The hydraulics are extremely strong on this machine. Y'all know I'm a hydraulics nut. You know, I really focus on that because I like sensitive hydraulics. I like when I touch the hydraulics, I want the hydraulics to respond. I want them to do what I tell them to do. I don't like play in my hydraulics. I don't like soft hydraulics. I like a lot of good sensitivity. So when I make contact and I touch and I move the controls one way or the other, I like the machine to immediately respond. I don't like play in my hydraulics. I don't like to throttle up and then finally get moving. When I touch it, I want it to go. That's the way I like my hydraulics, whether it be on a backhoe or a track hoe, a motor grader, or a mower, push mower, you name it. I like the second I touch my hydraulics, I want it to respond. So the feel and sensitivity and responsiveness on this, the responsiveness is incredibly good. They're very responsive hydraulics, okay, once you get the lever moved initially. I had absolutely no problem with the hydraulics actually responding and doing what I told it to do. I just saw something else that I hadn't seen. This has the actual handle right here has an adjustment, so you can loosen this nut right here. It's a micro adjustment, and you can slide that back or forward. That's pretty neat. I don't think I've ever seen that on a mower before. So that's 1, 2, 3 levels of adjustment for the controls right here. I'm glad I saw that. You need to know that. That's that one little feature right there. You know, that speaks a lot of volume to me, because you get a lot of adjustability right here. So as I was saying, the responsiveness, how responsive the controls are, I'm going to give it a 9, because they're pretty dang responsive. Sensitivity, meaning if I'm kind of half throttle and I need to back off a little bit on one side or go a little bit forward on the other side, how sensitive is the turning? Meaning, if I make a 1/4 inch move, is that going to relate to this tire and give me a 1/4 inch more turn, if for lack of better ways of explaining that. The sensitivity is very good. When you're running a straight line, and if you just barely bump one or the other side, it wants to do that. It wants to throw that straight line off. So it's extremely sensitive. I know some people may not like that. You may want a little bit more forgiving controls, but this definitely is going to get a score of a 9 for sensitivity, because they're nice and sensitive for sure. So the feel of them, this is where I have an issue. Okay, I love good hydraulics. I love them, but these things, they're different. They're difficult to get going, and you know, I don't want to compare, but I have to compare. And I'm not going to compare it against any particular other mower, but I'm going to compare it against every stand-on mower I've ever been on. These controls are much stiffer, meaning the force you need to put behind them in order to move them forward with the machine running and with the pressure built up in the system. It's kind of tough, and that actually makes it a little bit harder turning, and when you're edging out, I notice myself edging out around my property, and you know, you're kind of going a little bit slow, and you want to bump the left or bump the right, and it was a little bit difficult, and the mower would do that, would twerk, would jerk a little. We're not going to be twerking mower. Ain't no mowers out there twerking, okay? Jerk, we'll name it jerk. But the mower would jerk a little bit because I had to put so much force. The smoothness wasn't there. The sensitivity's here, but the function of it is not all that smooth. They're very stiff. So on that, as much as I hate it, I'm gonna give it a 7, because I am in no way a fan of that. I will say this in defense of the machine. I would assume once you use the machine, get 100 hours on it or whatever, I would assume that would kind of loosen up and go away a little bit. I can't imagine this being this stiff the entire time. Now, one thing I am noticing is they're using that same shock dampener type system on the rebound on these controls. You could possibly order a shock to go in there, a direct replacement that's not as firm or as stiff, and that would mean you could push these up a lot easier. You know, look, some of these mowers I can push it with my pinky, and look at that. That actually hurts to do that. Middle finger isn't too bad. So I think, you know, I'm just not understanding why these things are so dang stiff to push up, because they are. They're not too awful bad right now, but once you fire the machine up and build pressure up in the system, you kind of got to muscle it up. So that's why I give it a 7. And a pretty cool non-scoring fun category is hold My Sundrop. You got plenty of spots to hold Sundrop or water or your beverage of choice. I have a gas tank I have a cup holder on both sides of the gas tank. The gas tanks seem to mirror each other, identical, so I've got those cup holders there, and I've got a nice cup holder right there, right in the center, where I can just really easily get to it. And I like that, to be completely honest with you. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You know, you put a can or even a bottle of water in here, there's not much that's going to hold this in place, especially when you're mowing. You can expect that just to bounce out. I think the manufacturers should come up with some type of a foam insert or something that you know, maybe use two-way tape to tape it to the inside that kind of snugs your beverage up, where it kind of holds the beverage down in place, because you can see that you hit one good bump and that thing's gone. Now on the cup holder up here, we do have something like that. It actually sucks it in and it's in there pretty dang good. I really think I could hit all the bumps I want. I don't think that can's coming out. Look. So you can see how that cup holder's made and how when that goes down in there, look at that. That's pretty dang good. But let's see if we can make it come out. So you can see what it took to get that out. That's pretty nice. That's a really neat feature. My Sundrop's not a scoring category, but if it were a scoring category, we get a 10, hands down, simply because of that one cup holder right here. These cup holders, in my opinion, are kind of useless because, like I said, your drink's just gonna pop out. But this one right here actually holds it in place, which is really nice. So as you know, I've got 3 crew leaders that are taking these machines out, and they're gonna kind of not necessarily go through a full video, but they have spreadsheets with all the same categories, and they're going to go through and score each mower on the individual categories, just as I'm doing. So the verdict, kind of the last category, non-scoring, just my general thoughts on the machine. And you know, I want to stress my one word: beast. The thing is a beast when it comes to mowing, strength, power. It's an incredibly good cutting mower. Again, I was blown away at the side discharge, how clean it left my yard after mowing. So you take the word beast and apply it to all of that, you get the good part of the beast, okay? The bad part of the beast is in these 2 handlebars, and it just so happens to be one of my favorite parts of any machine with hydraulics is the hydraulics, okay? And this was a beast to operate for me. I just can't get over the force I would have to use to get the things forward. And backwards isn't too bad, because like I said, you're pulling them to you. But forward, they're kind of tough. They're a beast to operate. So that's what I meant when I give you my one word of, you know, beast in a good way and beast in not a good way. So but overall, man, the machine is really, really nice. It is well built, and it cuts like a champion, and it stripes really well. I mean, as you've seen, I like it. I mean, I genuinely like this mower. But I will say this, if we're going to be upfront and honest, if I were to buy one of these machines for myself, I would demand, I don't know if you can demand stuff, but I would be a little bit pushy and want these hydraulics to be softened up to a little bit. I don't know what they can do to soften them up, but I would request that. I'd be respectful at it. But would that keep me from buying one of these mowers if I couldn't change that? That's a very hard question for me to answer on camera. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I am so peculiar about the way my hydraulics functions. It probably would keep me from buying one. If I'm being just straightforward and honest with you, I probably would not buy one strictly because of having to operate that thing all day long. If this could be fixed in some way, and it's not broken, okay? Let me make that clear. The hydraulics are wonderful. That's not, I used the wrong word, fixed. If it could be catered to my particular liking, I think that's a much better way of wording it, then I'd have no problem owning one of these mowers. Zero issues whatsoever owning this mower. But I have a mental block when it comes to the hydraulics, and I can't get past that, just to be completely honest with you. That's my take on the Spartan KG XD King of Grass. I now know why they have named it King of Grass, because I mean, it's pretty king-like, if you ask me. But that's my take on the mower. Please like, subscribe, share. Tell all your buddies in the lawn care industry that we've got this awesome opportunity to look at all these different machines in detail, and I'm really enjoying this. I really am. So be sure and subscribe so you don't miss the future videos coming up. As always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I'll check you later.